Okay, in the event that you're looking for something to watch, I have something for you. It's available on Amazon Prime if you have that. If not, it's even worth buying the videos for. It's Farscape. We'll talk about it in a second. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and what I'm talking about today is Farscape. If you have not seen this show, you have missed something. It is science fiction that lasted about 4 seasons between 1999 and 2003, and surprisingly, for something made in that era, it does not age badly. A lot of sci fi that uses some of the central props type of futuristic looks tends to look very dated after a certain amount of time has gone by, and we've not found that with Farscape. As far as set designs and things like that, they were so far removed from everything that we've seen so far in science fiction that it actually still stands up pretty well. The plot of it is about an American who was an astronaut. He is trying an experiment in a miniature spacecraft about the size of a snowmobile, shall we say. And in performing this experiment, he falls through a black hole and ends up being in the middle of a battle. He is rescued kind of accidentally by a ship that's being pursued that's full of convicts by an armada of peacekeepers. And from there, he is then joined with this crew of misfits as they run basically most of the series away from the peacekeepers. The thing that's interesting about this show is that every other science fiction show that we've seen, any spacefaring one anyway, usually uses a number of people who are from Earth or from something that we're familiar with, and they'll have a couple of aliens around to kind of remind you that this is the future and they're out in space, and the aliens themselves are useful in pointing out some of the foibles of humanity. It's just the opposite in Farscape, where Crichton, our main character, is the only human, and he's the one that's kind of poking fun at all of the alien culture, as the rest of the crew is made up of various aliens. We have a blue woman, we have someone who looks kind of human but is actually Sebastian. They have some biological differences and such as that, certainly cultural differences. They have a frog character who is a royalty, at least deposed royalty, and was said by the producers to be kind of the anti-Kermit. Since much of this was made by the Jim Henson Company, there's a lot of puppets in it. However, they are made in such a way to where they don't look like your usual Muppets. They're not the usual felt and ping pong balls type of construction, but rather something that looks a lot more organic, a lot more mucus loaded, and one of the characters is known for farting. This is a way that the actors were encouraged to handle the puppets in such a way to make them seem like other real characters, and they pull it off. So, in this escaping ship, which is a living ship, which becomes kind of one of the characters too, the ship doesn't speak, but kind of speaks through a symbiotic pilot who also has a rather alien look. You have a group of escaped convicts, basically, who are trying to get away from the peacekeepers, which are the Galactic Peace Force where they're at, and police force where they're at. And Crichton gets caught into this because, unwittingly, as he comes out of the wormhole, he damages one of the peacekeeper ships, which contains the son of the commander of the task force, which it kills the son, and now the commander of the task force by the name of Bylar Crace has it in for Crichton. And so Crichton is trying to deal with the culture shock of being with a ship full of aliens, having not known that any of them existed before. And the ship full of aliens are trying to understand exactly where Crichton comes from. They find him as kind of a bizarre individual, especially his tendency to use colloquialisms and things that they don't quite understand. They have translator microbes so that they can talk to each other and communicate with each other, but still some of his expressions are things that they don't quite understand. So they find him kind of a misfit, kind of an oddity, and the fact that they're useful to each other is what keeps them together. The best thing about the show, though, is that in the 4 seasons, they have about 80 episodes, or more than 80 episodes, and in this time, they're able to develop each of the individual characters. You know the backstory on everybody from Moya to the pilot to certainly Crichton and all of even the minor characters. You know where they came from, you know what their motivations are, you know how they ended up where they were, and you are interested in all of them. Crichton himself is trying to just go home while he develops strong bonds with the other characters. It's not a bad way of putting things together. It comes from the opposite direction. Instead of loyal shipmates, one for all and all for one, it's usually the we need this guy in order to hustle food for us, or we need this person in order to keep things fixed, or we need this person to fight for us, or that sort of thing. So the bonds between them is not exactly upstanding, but certainly entertaining. We have left out a number of characters. There's a number of jokes that are aimed at various attributes of some of the characters. Pao Zotazan, who is a high priestess, is a blue individual, and I think she is a living plant. And there are all kinds of jokes aimed at her skin color. There is Rigel, who is kind of belittled by his short stature. He's called Sparky or Buckwheat by Crichton. In fact, Crichton has names for just about everybody, and that includes even some of the enemies. And it's just a highly entertaining series. I think that if you get started on even the first episode, you're going to want to continue to watch the entire series. And with 86 episodes, that'll keep you busy during part of the time that we have to be sheltered in place. So, recommendation for you, Farscape. And we'll be back with more things to watch, and we're keeping an eye on when Discovery is coming back as well, so we'll keep you on top of all these things. So make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you'll know when the next video comes your way. And until next time, don't go far.